Welcome to Telltale Books. I'm here to talk about a story by Stephen King. I've done a lot of Stephen King videos over the last couple of years because I've been trying out Stephen King, reading a number of his things, especially as Buddy reads with my friend Samantha. She's a big fan of Stephen King, and she's making me a big fan of him too, to the point where I decided, hey, I want to go back and do videos on everything I can get my hands on by Stephen King in order of publication. And so this is me going back to the beginning. Now, got to qualify this. My research, the best of my knowledge, reveals that there are 9 stories that were all published in 1960. Now, Stephen King was very young at this time. He was only born in 1947, so he was like 13 years old. He wrote these stories. He and a friend published a book, I guess, and the information I found says Stephen King himself has the only copy known to exist of that particular book. So good luck finding stories 1 through 9. So I got to start with number 10. This is his 10th story. It was published in a magazine called Stories of Suspense number 2 in 1966. Actually, I think that's a book. And the title is In a Half World of Terror. Now, I was not able to find Stories of Suspense number 2, not as a physical book or as a PDF. I was able to find the story, though, but it's not really online anymore. It's in the Wayback Machine, if you know what that is. So, probably because of the fact that, well, probably I'm guessing King didn't really authorize this story being out on the internet, and so he had it taken down, and so that's why it's only in the Wayback Machine. Or maybe the person with the website just didn't pay their bill with their service provider, and their website was deleted. I don't know, but I can't find this story in any other way. So I was able to see it. I read it there. Sorry if that offends anybody, but I really wanted to read this story. And yes, if this story were included in a collection by Stephen King, I would pay money for the book. So this is the earliest story I can get my hands on by Stephen King. It's titled In a Half World of Terror, 1966. He was still a teenager here. Okay. 19, I think. So, basic synopsis, very basic. A man in need of a job gets hired to rob graves for a scientist. Okay. The scientist is not working for any corporation. He's working in a laboratory by himself. Kind of a Frankenstein-style story. And that's something you see a lot in King's early work, like Salem's Lot and The Shining, is that he's writing his own versions of classic horror stories. Salem's Lot was a modern retelling of Dracula with embellishments. It is a brilliant story. The Shining is a haunted house story with a lot of really brilliant additional embellishments to the traditional haunted house story. And, well, this story, of course, sounds like Frankenstein. Unfortunately, this one isn't so brilliant. It does come across as a fairly amateur work. I did find it fun to read, but it's not a polished professional story. Okay, so if you love The Shining, don't expect it to rise to that quality. Even though The Shining was only, what, 8 years later? He did a lot of development in that time. He did a lot of development between this story and Carrie. So this is one of those things. This is a lot of the reason why I'm doing this. You go back to this very first story, you see a very different writer. You see a writer that's just starting out, that's just learning the craft, that's finding his passion, but doesn't yet have the tools to take that passion and make something great out of it, like he will later on. Here, he's kind of feeling around in the dark for what he wants to do. And it's interesting in that way. So I recommend it to anybody who's a Stephen King completist or really wants to do like I'm doing here and learn where King came from and see how he progressed. But for just the modern horror fan, modern Stephen King fan, say somebody that read It and wants something of that caliber, you're not going to find it in this story. Sorry. He wasn't that good yet. He was still learning the ropes of things. So that's my first one, but it's actually number 10, like I say. It's where I have to start because I can't get a hold of the first 9. I hope you're as interested as I am in that, and I hope you'll come back for more. I'm going to be continuing this. His next story, also published in 1966, is called The 43rd Dream, or that'll be number 11. I hope you'll come back and watch me for that one. And in the meantime, watch all of our others that I put up, all the other authors I'm talking about. I've got Ursula Le Guin coming up. And until then, like us and subscribe to us. I'll see you in the next video.